I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was from a family of 7 kids, so we learned about hard work, respect, and working together as a team. I had the opportunity to attend college at Yale in New Haven, Connecticut, where I studied history. I had the chance when I was there to take some environmental science classes and other classes in the environmental and biology science fields. After college, I had a chance to go to Washington, D.C., where I worked on Capitol Hill for a congressman. My job for him was to work with businesses, local governments in his office and how they interact with the federal government. So I learned about how government works. After that, I went to law school in Philadelphia at Temple University and started an environmental law journal at the law school. I had as a summer job in Minnesota, where I worked for the Minnesota Attorney General's office, and relocated here after law school and have been here for 25 plus years. I'm married, I have 2 kids. Worked in the public sector initially with the Attorney General's office representing the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, where I really learned all about environmental law, federal, state, and local, how they all interact together. And now I've been in private practice where I represent businesses, local government units, individuals, banks, financial institutions, people who buy and sell property, all related to environmental issues. I've always been interested in law and public policy. And I do care about the quality of air, water, and land, that we leave it safely for the next generation and for our kids. So that's driven my interest to environmental law, that and my interest in public policy. Now that I'm practicing, though, I'm also interested not only in protecting the environment, but in fairness, in protecting companies and people who are subject to environmental regulation, and make sure that when those regulations are applied, they're applied fairly to people. That's what the legal system is about, and I'm proud to represent my clients in seeking fairness for them. An environmental attorney is a lawyer who is knowledgeable of federal, state, and local environmental rules and laws and statutes. Most environmental law originates from statutes or enactments of Congress or state legislatures. In my practice, I help people understand what those requirements are and how they need to comply. Once Congress passes a law to protect water or protect the air or for safe handling of hazardous wastes, they turn the implementation phase over to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency or to the state environmental agencies. They make the rules that apply to businesses. And my clients typically need to comply with those rules. And most, of course, want to do that. The problem is that the laws and the regulations are so complex that it puts an incredible burden on businesses especially, but also individuals and local government units who have to comply to meet those rules and requirements. I have found in my 25 years of practice that small businesses in particular face a heavy burden because they're required to comply strictly with requirements, sometimes federal, state, and local requirements, and it can be very complex and very complicated and puts incredible burdens on them. It's very easy to get caught up in non-compliance situation. The environmental laws are promulgated by Congress, and then Congress directs the EPA, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or in some cases delegates to the states the authority to implement those laws. They set standards such as clean water or clean air, and then those standards are applied to individual businesses. Any business may have to comply with multiple laws, depending on what their operations are. Another facet of environmental law that I work on quite a bit is with the cleanup of sites. Congress and state legislatures have enacted laws that require old hazardous waste dump sites, sites with leaking underground storage tanks, and other sites where there have been releases of hazardous substances or other pollutants to be cleaned up. The liability there is retroactive. And so it places a burden on people who own that property or who are buying property to make sure they're doing the right thing in assessing and cleaning it up. I've also been involved in litigation related to contaminated property, and also in defensive environmental enforcement, working in those cases to help our clients minimize their liability and their exposure and resolve the issues that are being litigated favorably. The other type of area that I get involved with is transactional law and real estate and business transactions and assessing property. And I help clients find where there are problems and make sure they know fully about what can be in a property before they purchase it, so that they understand the risks and the liability associated with that.